Alright, so I just wanted to come on. I was thinking about writing a status about it, but I might just say it in a video. People ask me why I don't hang out with Greg anymore. Greg was the older gentleman I used to hang out with, like in his 70s. A lot of people ask me, "Oh, why don't you hang out with Greg? You and Greg were having a fun time going to Dunkin' Donuts and stuff like that." I mean, Greg is a good, Greg can be a good person and stuff like that. And he was very good to me as a friend. He sometimes would let me borrow money, and sometimes if I didn't have money, he would be, he would treat me to basically, Dunkin' Donuts or food or something, or bring me a grinder here and there and stuff. But he was really, really nice to me and stuff in a lot of ways. But and I kind of got really close to Greg. But one thing that always bothered me about hanging with Greg is that Greg seems to, he's like in his 70s, and he seems to like younger men who are 18 and stuff. So I mean, I was like, I was trying to be open minded and say, oh, that's cool, because I'm in my mid I'm like 35, going on 35, and I say to myself, well, I like younger women who are 18, 18 and up. And I said so, I'm not gonna really judge and stuff. So I mean, I also like older women too, like in their 40s and stuff. I mean, I like older women in their 40s and stuff, especially black women in their 40s. Black women in their 40s look gorgeous, um, but I do like older women. I do have a thing for older women. Um, you know, and younger women, but I'm in that middle age where it's like I'm appreciating older women as I get older, but I'm still also kind of towards the younger women as well. But the point being is that, Greg would always check out people. He'd always check out people in the park and stuff. He always check out people riding by and stuff. And it wasn't just myself who has actually had to talk to Greg about some things, but it was also my friend Mateo, and Mateo and I were friends and stuff. That Greg basically kind of, a couple times more than once, and if it happens more than once, it's a problem. But a couple times more than once, he's checked out some people, and they looked probably about not even like not 18, but like 15. So it kind of like was really sketchy and stuff that he was checking out people, and then he was pointing to people, and it was like, so some of those people looked only like 15 years old. So I didn't want to like associate with him and be guilty by association if something goes down when he gets in trouble for, accidentally, it won't be accidentally, but maybe who knows what it will be. But if he gets in trouble for talking to somebody way younger than the age range of what's legal, so I'm trying not to go get involved in that. But it was something that always kind of made me kind of cautious about like wanting to hang with him, and I've kind of like broke off hanging with him, especially when I started hanging out with Mateo a little bit, and right around that time too, Greg's friend Marie started yelling at me and stuff, and she started yelling at me. She was one of the people in the video I posted a while ago when I was trying to grab something off the giveaway table, grab those milkshake things, and Greg's friend Marie was the first person to open her mouth and say something about like me grabbing the milkshake thing. So Marie hasn't really talked to me like since then, and I haven't really talked to Greg too much. I've talked to Greg here and there, but I haven't really talked to Greg too much either, because of that factor that he kind of, I kind of get kind of cautious about him trying to, you know, check out the younger guys, and sometimes when he checks out the younger guys, they tend out to be younger than legal age. So I'm kind of cautious about that, and I kind of wanted to break it off for my own safety and my own situation to get away from. So I haven't really talked to Greg about, I haven't really talked to Greg or anything. And the neighbors joke about it too. The neighbors joke about it because the neighbors got wind of it too. So some of his friends and the neighbors joke about like him liking these guys from high school and stuff, because Greg's gay, but it's not funny. It's not really funny, because Greg can get into a lot of trouble for it, and people hanging with him too can get into a lot of trouble for that situation. So I broke off hanging with Greg because I thought that was a huge red flag that I didn't want to be a part of. My friend Mateo was cool. I mean, he tried to be a friend and tried to be an ally. The only thing about him is he was very outspoken with politics. I mean, I told him I don't really want to talk about politics. I don't really want to get involved with politics. And first thing he does was open his mouth about politics and the liberals this and the liberals that, and and policy and this, and I got roped into this and talking about policies and all this other stuff, which I just really wanted to stay out of because I told him I didn't really like talking about politics. The other thing about Mateo that I didn't really like either, though, is that me and Mateo kind of bonded and we kind of became friends. I mean, we're not talking anymore because I kind of stopped talking to him, And this is one of the reasons why I stopped talking to him is that, he would, the neighbors would complain about me. The neighbors would complain about me in situations and stuff to him, and he would tell me about it, but then he would complain about the neighbors complaining and stuff, and the neighbors doing this and that to me. And I didn't really want to be in a situation where he was complaining, where the neighbors were complaining to him or the neighbors were bitching to him, and then he was bitching to me about the neighbors. I didn't really want to be in a he said, she said situation. So I'm trying to stay out of the, the neighborly drama. So I try to remove myself from hanging with Mateo. So, I mean, somebody said, "Oh, why don't you tell Mateo how you feel? Why don't you tell Mateo, speak up and tell Mateo you really don't want to talk about politics and stuff?" But, Mateo supposedly served in the army or something, and he also is a registered nurse, and I think he feels like he's earned the right to say his piece and stuff, and I feel in the right to the right to say my piece in some cases too. I mean, I haven't really served in the army or nothing. My biological dad, from what I understand, served in the Navy for a period of time. So, my biological father was a Navy veteran or something, or I'm not sure if I don't know if he was a veteran or something, or if he got a dishonorable discharge. Just a lot of mixed confusion about that. But my biological dad served in the Navy, and for a while there, before I was born, my mom actually worked at Sikorsky's, Sikorsky's aircrafts in Stratford. She worked in Sikorsky's building the helicopters and stuff up until there was an accident where she got sprayed in the face with some of the chemicals, and then she had to kind of be let off the job because she had a lot of medical problems and stuff after she got sprayed in the face with the chemicals, which kind of has affected her whole life with seizures and everything else because of that factor. So, but my mom worked for Sikorsky's, and my biological father for a period of his life also I guess worked in it. Was also serving in the Navy. So, I personally I personally am disabled, and I'm kind of disabled, and not even kind of, I am disabled, but and I've attempted to work multiple times and had a lot of issues with trying to work, and so I've kind of just had to be on disability and kind of have to make my way with my disability, but I'd like to do more with my life. Yes, I don't know if I was thinking about that the other day, if I would to join some type of group of service or something. I can meet maybe a nice woman in a group of service where I can do like this. I can do like this training or something, or I was thinking about like the Army's boot camps. How like Army has all these training boot camps that you could do. They're not just like you serve and you go to war, but some of them like you serve and you can do these classes and things. I was thinking about what would it be like if I joined the Army, and what would I lose a lot of weight? Would I like it? Would I not like it? Thinking about stuff like that, but I really can't join the Army because people who are mentally disabled are not allowed to really serve the country. The people who are mentally impaired and stuff are not allowed to really go to war and combat or operate a vehicle or really shoot a gun or nothing like that. So I can't really serve the country, but for the most part I'm doing the best I can to just survive. I'm disabled. I mean, I've tried working. I've been sent multiple times by my doctor, who signed off on notes. Said, he's not fit to work right now. We have to make sure he's mentally well. We have to make sure he's mentally good. And I'm doing a side hustle. My side hustle has always been my artwork. I mean, if I can sell some artwork here and there, great. But even my artwork says I'm an artist on a disability, which is not a lie, and I have to do that too because there's certain criterias and things I gotta follow just to get my disability, my disability income, and I can't really have like a full blown job to sustain myself. Otherwise, my disability and stuff gets cut. And I haven't been able to really hold a full blown job. So, but just wanted to come on. I forget what I was talking about. I was talking about originally though about talking about my neighbors and why I'm not hanging with my neighbors, which I'm gonna go like wheel it back into that now. But that's the reason why I'm not hanging with Mateo or I'm not hanging with Greg. Because I don't really like their I don't really like I didn't really like how they I mean they were both trying to be really good friends, but I mean that's kind of why I don't like the situation. So but wanted to get that off my chest because people ask me, why don't you hang out with them anymore? Why don't you go out for coffee? Why don't you go out for food? And those were my only two friends really at the time that I was going to be able to go out and do stuff with. And now it's like I go out and do things by myself. I go out to my friends' local businesses, which now finally just opened up or are kind of blooming a little bit, since after the pandemic, that there's been events and things happening, since after the pandemic and stuff that people can go to and people have gone to. Like I went to the block party at Kelly's Crystals. There were sales at Kelly's Crystals that day at the block party. I couldn't buy anything until a couple days later because I didn't get paid. So that's kind of why I went back for the Oracle card deck, because I didn't get paid until a couple days later. So I did go to the block party for Kelly's Crystals. I went to see my friends at the Hummingbird Cafe. Probably about a week later. But I mean, I've kind of burned a couple of bridges during quarantine too, so it's not like I'm gonna be like at the gallery that was doing the shows and stuff. I used to have it worked out where I would go to shows, and I mean, I would have it worked out where there was a payment plan, or if I had to pay people back, I would try to figure out a way to pay people back, and etc. I was told I was fine. I was told over the pandemic I was fine. Don't even worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. You're good. Don't worry about paying us back or anything. So I didn't worry about it. But then there were some other things that had happened where I got involved with Taquanas and try to help out Taquana, and I knew that was going to come back to haunt me. Her being the first black business in Torrington, Connecticut, I knew that was going to come back to haunt me against some of my more liberal friends, that it's going to come back to haunt me, with their views and their opinions, and I'm not saying I'm liberal. I'm not saying I'm really I'm not really going to say where I stand with politics, because I really don't want to be in politics, and I'm still trying to figure a lot out where I stand. I mean, I know I don't believe in cancel culture. I don't believe in I don't believe in censorship, although censorship does happen within music and art and stuff. It does happen, but I don't really believe in censorship. I don't really believe in cancel culture. I really don't believe in taking our history and just doing away with it. But just basically what's just been going on with me, The other thing about what's been going on with me too is I started therapy. I started therapy up again. During the pandemic, my therapist retired. So during the pandemic, my therapist retired. So I finally got a new male therapist, which I was hoping for a male therapist. So finally got a new male therapist, and I mean, this is like this is a couple weeks in already now that I've been kind of going to therapy, trying to get, trying to voice my opinions and trying to, voice what I have to say, and, talk to them about it. I'm a little still iffy because the last therapist I knew for like 15 years. I knew that therapist for 15 years up before he retired, so I worked with him for 15 years, and I gained a really good working relationship. This new therapist is like I gotta work all over again to try to trust and stuff, but I'm trying to just I'm kind of just opening my mouth and kind of just saying stuff, because it's just like, if you're not gonna just say about it and be open about it and tell people how you feel, it's just not gonna work at this point, I mean, I told my therapist about censorship. I told him I went to, some events during the weekend, and my weekend was very good. I went to events during the weekend, and I had some fun, and it was a really fun time, and it was really, really enjoyable and stuff. So, So it was really, really good, and I didn't get a chance to really tell him all that, but well, I got a chance to tell him most of it, but maybe not all of it. Um, but yeah, I'm just chilling at this point. I mean, I don't really hang out with too many people. I'm kind of back to being a loner, you know. I don't even go downstairs anymore since all the neighbors kind of yelled at me and I kind of got ganged up on. And some of the neighbors didn't really do anything besides sit there. You know, during that day I got yelled at for taking stuff off that giveaway table. Some of the neighbors didn't do anything besides sit there and then decide that they were going to take sides of the people yelling at me, and decide that I was I was just automatically an asshole. So, part of my language, but you know. so, so I'm at this point. I'm fine. I'm just hanging by myself. I'm just doing my thing, and I showed text messages. I have a friend who I actually didn't text message yet, but I have a friend who lives in Massachusetts now, who I'm gonna keep in contact with and call occasionally from time to time. That I got a friend from Massachusetts, so um, they have differences. They have differences of opinion. They believe in the humanist. They believe in the humanist belief, and they're also vegan. They're also vegan, and I'm not really vegan. I'm dieting, but I'm not really vegan. So, I mean, I don't think that's gonna work for any type of relationship. But I mean, getting to know somebody who's a humanist sounds very interesting, because it's a chance to maybe be open to hear about a different belief that you don't normally get to hear about too often, and try to see how you can incorporate it into your life, or where how it plays into your life as well, with some of the beliefs that of being a humanist. I mean, I was reading up about it, and I actually asked, my friend at the Hummingbird Cafe, my friend who's also a peace reverend, because he runs a peace center, because the Hummingbird Cafe is actually also a peace center. So I was asking my friend who's also a reverend, I was asking him about the humanism and stuff, and he was telling me a little bit more about humanism. So it'd be very interesting to learn about. It'd be very interesting to see. Um, but I don't know. I mean, truthfully, I call myself Christian because my family members consider me Christian, or want to consider me Christian, or kind of want to have their foot on my neck and say, "Oh, you're going to be a Christian," But I mean, I'm spiritually based. I'm more of a spiritually based metaphysical Christian, if anything. I'm not like Christian, like this is what you have to believe. I mean, I'm like, metaphysically based. But I will say openly, I don't believe in Satanism. I can't, I don't like horror movies and stuff. I don't like horror movies. I don't like, that's the thing about Halloween too, is I don't like horror movies and stuff. I like dressing up, and I like costumes and things, but I don't really like blood and guts and gore too much. So I don't really like Satanism too much, nor do I like horror movies and stuff. Actually, as a matter of fact, I mean, I don't want to bring up an ex, but I'm going to kind of bring up an ex for a example. But I had an ex-girlfriend who I wanted to take to a movie, and she wanted to go see a horror movie, and I think my head was like in her arm the whole time, because I was like too much gore and guts and stuff, but I paid for it for her because she wanted to go see it. So we went to a nice meal. We went to a nice meal too. I think we went to the Chinese buffet too, or something, or we had a nice meal and stuff too. So, but but that ex and I are no longer going to be together, and that ex had their shot. They had their shot to shoot, and they lost their chance to shoot their shot, or any more shots to pursue me. So, watching the spider climb up my window. um, But anyways, just wanted to get that off my chest. The main reason I came on is just because I wanted to say why I'm not hanging out with certain people, which I said. I'm just kind of going on a rambling thing now, where I'm just talking about different things in my heart and my situation. But my main thing is why I wasn't going out as much as I used to with going out to eat and stuff, and doing stuff. Of course, my neighbors were all up in my business, or they were all up in Greg's business too, about Greg Greg and I going out to Domino's for pizza and stuff. They were all up in our business trying to like say something about it and stuff, and it was very annoying because Greg is like 70 years old. He's more than well of an adult. I'm more well of an adult. We can go do what we need to do to go out and get some food, or if we want to eat some food that's not necessarily healthy, we can do that. But you know, the only thing is, it was kind of a money guzzler. It was kind of a money guzzler a little bit in ways that I kind of didn't want to have to deal with, because Greg seems to have things too that, you know, he can get money from people. He can get money from people, and people do a lot of things for him. He has family on one side of town and family on the other. Plus he has, you know, his friend Marie, who's mad at me, and a couple other people. So he has people who can do stuff for him, you know, constantly, and, you know, give him food and make sure he's fed and make sure he gets some of the things he wants. But for me, I don't have any family in town. All my family is about an hour away. So I have no family in town. I have no friends really I can count on and stuff. So I'm kind of by myself in my own little bubble. It's kind of what I said before, is that, you know, I have friends and stuff. I have friends, and I have people that seem to think they know what's best for me, or they seem to know what I'm about, even though they're assuming and whatever else. But, you know, I have people that seem to think they're for me, but are they really for me? Are they really for me and for the benefit of my life, or for the benefit of my growth and etc.? Are they really for me? You know, are they really going to be for me? You know, especially when it comes to my art and stuff. I mean, that's the thing about the Noki Gallery, when I was supporting the Noki Gallery, which I don't support the Noki Gallery anymore, because he really wasn't for me. He acted like he was for me, but when it came to really supporting me or promoting me and stuff, he really wasn't for me, you know. He was for a lot of other people, who, you know, can make a name for him and stuff like that. But okay, so he really wasn't for, you know, he really wasn't for me, you know. That was my mother. My mother's going to be put on hold because she needs to call back at a decent time when I'm not busy. So, you know, it's kind of like that lately. She has somebody over there doing stuff for her, doing everything, little things she says and stuff like that, and then she's calling me at times where I'm busy and I'm trying to do some things that I need to do for me. So she's kind of inconveniencing me, you know, and then she calls and says I'm inconveniencing her. So we're going to just play this game where I'm going to just hang up the phone on her now, and I'll call her back when everything's done. But anyways, you know, point taken is that, you know, life happens, you know. I'm going to get offline. I'm going to call my mother back because that was kind of annoying, and I wasn't sure if I was going to continue, but I'm not going to continue because I've said a lot already, and I'm just going to leave things at that for now. I'm happily single. I'm not really looking for a relationship unless it feels right. I'm not looking for a relationship unless it feels right, you know, and that's the thing about me. Lately, there's a lot of people that seem to want, you know, my attention or time, or just want to hit it and quit it, but I'm not looking for a relationship until it just feels right. The atmosphere of the situation feels right, you know. I've kind of asked a couple of people out for food or coffee or drinks or just etc. But, you know, they either have boyfriends or they're just too busy living their lives and loving themselves to really want to stop and slow down to, you know, to consider me, because obviously they either have somebody else or they're just too busy living their best life. So, but it is what it is, you know, it is what it is at this point, and I'm just going to live my life and be happy, you know. I mean, I got to think of what I'm going to do. I mean, I was just talking to somebody, I said, yeah, I wish I had more money, which is true, I do wish I had more money, you know. I might have more money in November, but until then, I'm not going to have really much more money right now, but, it's the luck of the draw. I mean, it's my lifestyle. It's my lifestyle being a disabled artist. I mean, I only get a certain amount of income to really live off of, and so much to do what I can do, and then the rest is like, you know, work miracles. It's not like I don't have art supplies. One thing I did want to get, which I didn't get, was I wanted to get markers. I wanted to get like a Crayola marker, or like a really good marker to start, you know, drawing again. You know, making drawings with like pencil and markers. I wanted to start going back to that a little bit. You know, like get a pad and start drawing like these creatures or doodles or something. You know, but I haven't actually done that yet. I haven't had the money to do it. I mean, at one point I almost thought I was going to have $130 for the month for spending, but I still needed to get some stuff for the month, and I got some of the stuff for the month, and it took most of my money except for $50, and out of that $50, there's about $8 left between the rent and the account. So. And besides that, some bottles and cans, which I buy a lot of seltzers, and I buy a lot of sodas and stuff to, make cans and stuff too, Also because I drink a lot, but also to make cans and stuff too, to help, build a couple bucks to help get me through. So, I don't think my mom's going to come through for me on anything. She's already came through for me, at the beginning of the month, and that kind of came and went. So, I'm on my own. I'm definitely on my own. So, but anyways, I'm getting offline.